This is Zacks Senior Life Sciences Analyst John Vandermosten. I'm joined by the CEO of Ligand Pharmaceuticals, Todd Davis, to discuss his thoughts on gene therapy and the recent royalty deal struck with Castle Creek Biosciences.
You made your first gene therapy investment with the Castle Creek Biosciences just a short time ago. Maybe you can share with us what you think of gene therapy. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult, and I think the costs are sometimes a little bit higher than obviously small molecule, right? How do you fit in gene therapy into the investment universe, and what led you to make that your first investment in the space?
Yeah, I think we're pretty agnostic on therapeutic area and approach, really scientific approach. What we care about is the overall risk, and that the asset we're investing in, if it's development stage, of course, is addressing very high unmet clinical need. And so in Castle Creek, you have really a horrific disease with this dystrophic epidermis bullosa. And the market's underserved. Even with Crystal's product out there, which works pretty well, it has limitations on the body surface area it can treat, things like that.
And I believe the disease, just so people know, I think your skin kind of peels off. It doesn't adhere to itself, and it sloughs off. Is that correct?
Yeah, wounds open and reopen.
Okay.
You're missing a gene that basically directs the connectedness of tissue. So the tissue is disconnecting. So you got opening wounds, closing wounds. It can be horrific, and it can affect the hands. You'll get severe wounds on your hands and feet, and then when the tissue closes, you'll start to develop web hands and web feet. You kind of end up with clubs, and it's very painful. It's really one of the worst orphan diseases I've looked at, and I'm really it's shocking, some of the clinical situations. So launching another product in that category is very rewarding, but should also be very good for business, because there's so much unmet need. But our criteria isn't gene therapy or non-gene therapy or any other approaches. It's the level of protection that it has. We need underlying intellectual property. It has to be addressing a very high unmet clinical need. It definitely does that. It has to meet our investment size. Our asset allocation limits are about 50 million because we're trying to grow a diversified portfolio, and we don't want to put more than 50 million at risk on a binary bet. And no matter how promising something is, if it's not approved by the FDA for marketing yet, we consider that a binary bet. So that kind of drives us into certain categories. We do a lot of orphan, because that's usually very high unmet clinical need, and a $30 to $50 million check can make a big difference on the cost of a total orphan trial. It doesn't make a huge difference, for example, in a trial in major depressive disorder that,
right, because they're huge. There are 10,000 people in that one.
Yeah, there's 10,000 people. It's $300 million. And so we kind of naturally end up focusing in certain areas that I think really work strategically and really work from a business perspective as well. It's a great business, but it's also pretty rewarding, because you're going after the biggest problems in the worst diseases, and trying to help those companies that are working on deliver their solutions to the market.